Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this video, I wanted to thank you very much. You, more than likely, saved the lives of my chickens. And let me tell you why, just in case you weren't part of that video. So I put up a video a couple days ago where I showed you the inside of the chicken coop, which we will visit here in a minute or so. But I had put cedar wood chips in there. And someone on the comments, or maybe more than one person on the comments, said, hey, cedar wood chips are really bad for chickens. They're toxic. And I'm like, are you serious? We're going to have to look this up. So guess what? Cedar wood chips are bad for chickens. They can be very toxic and they can kill your chickens. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure you don't use cedar wood chips in your chicken coop. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. They have a house of straw. And they seem to be very happy, but I don't see any eggs. Come on, ladies. We got to get these eggs working. But I figure it would take them a minute to get back in their box and settle everything down the way they like it, organize everything. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me know about the wood chips. I would have probably never known unless you told me. And you can see that they're pecking at the straw because I'm guessing that there's probably some small bugs in there or even some dead bugs in there that they're picking at, but they're having fun with it. And in order to give them a little gift, my wife went ahead and picked them up a huge treat, which we won't be getting all the time because it's pretty pricey. So let me go ahead and show you what that is. And check that out. That's kind of like a block, a treat that has treats in them. And you see what I mean about chickens? Look, that's food right there. She's standing on it. So they pick at that, but she's standing on it. That's a block. I don't know what they call it, but it's got scratch. It looks like it's got molasses and just stuff that's really tasty to them. So we got them that. It looks like it's going to take them a really long time to eat through that. So here they are. They're all happy. I got a little bit of scratch over there that I put there earlier this morning, and they're pretty happy and healthy. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate you leaving your comments and helping me out like this every once in a while. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I put a video up yesterday trying to explain to people how it is that I think we're going to end up in war one way or another. And one way, of course, is geopolitically speaking, that the United States of America may go to war with like a foreign nation, China, Russia, etc., Iran, whatever it is, right? That's one way for sure that it looks like we may be headed to war. But the other way, ladies and gentlemen, which I believe is more valid of a reason as to why we in the U.S. would go to war, is that all of these other countries that I just mentioned that may be our foes, right? They can see what's going on in the U.S. and they can see that we are destroying ourselves from within. Unfortunately, am I a fan that the country that I love, the country that I live in, is going downhill? Absolutely not. But if you're realistic and you see with your eyes open, then you can see that this is what's happening. And especially with the financial system that we here are governed by in the United States of America, is why I feel that we will have an internal strife sooner than we will with an external strife. Why is that? Because people are waking up to the fact that our overlords use war as a reason to keep us under control. There's always a war on something. And if there's not a war with another country, there's war on poverty, there's war on drugs, there's war on this, there's war on the health crisis. This is like a war. They needed war powers during that last health crisis in order to keep us under control, ladies and gentlemen. And they can see that the runway is running out and that this financial system will soon be over. And the people are waking up, ladies and gentlemen. Let them eat cake. You remember that? Why did they have to eat cake? Well, because there was no bread. But the people at top, the queen, I forgot, I think it was the queen, right, in France. She said that someone told her, queen, the people are rioting in the streets because there's no bread to eat. And she said, let them eat cake. That's how out of touch the leadership of that nation during that time was with the people. Same thing with the leadership of this nation. That's how out of touch they are with the people. And as you can see, that inflation over the last several years has ravaged the purchasing power of our currency, the dollar. People are starting to notice that, hey, maybe all of these policies that these jokers are passing, maybe it's not for us, we the people, but for their benefit instead. That's where I was getting at with that video, is that there is going to be a war one way or another. But which type of war will it be? And then I come across this article right here. America's poorest only own 6% of all the assets. So what we're talking about is that 50% of Americans, the lower 50% of Americans, only own 6% of the wealth in this country, where only 1/10 of 1% or 0.1% of people, the richest people in this nation, own, I think it's like 11% of all of the assets, i.e. the wealth. Tell me if you don't think that the people are going to finally wake up and get angry enough to go and picket on the streets. And then our leaders say, well, just let them eat cake if there's no bread. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what they don't understand is that if there's no bread, more than likely, there's no cake, except for the cake that they put away for their greedy asses. And that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. It used to be 6%. So we're on a downward trend. Take a look at this. America's poorest only own 6% of assets. And I mean, look at this. All the way back to 2001, it used to be 7%. It got as high as about 8%. That's a 25% decrease percentage-wise. Since 1989, the peak share of assets held by this group was in Q2 and Q3 of 1995, when it reached 8.7%. By contrast, data shows that the top 0.1%, the 99th percentile, all right, ladies and gentlemen, of the U.S. held 11.4% of total assets in Q2 of 2023, almost double that of the lower 50%. And tell me that there's not going to be a class warfare where the people that have been ripped off their entire lives due to this monetary system, ladies and gentlemen, there are two things that have us in the place that we are now. Number one is called crony capitalism. It's where the government allows those to win whom they want to win, and those to lose whom they want to lose. And a good example of that is, remember during the health crisis, just the last couple, 2-3 years, who stayed in business and who went out of business? Who was allowed to stay open and who had to close their doors? Ladies and gentlemen, that is crony capitalism. When the government allows those that it wants to succeed, it allows them to succeed. It passes rules, it passes regulations, it passes laws that help them but don't help the mom and pop shops, i.e. the middle class. That's one thing that has led us to where we are today. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, is inflation. Is when the government says, I am all I need in order to make money out of thin air and strip the purchasing power out of the constituents that I swore to serve. Every time that the government prints money out of thin air, money that was never earned into reality, that never took labor to be earned into reality, every time that the government does that, it strips value from the dollars that you have. And one thing that the rich know very well is that when there are inflationary times, that assets always go up in price, but dollars don't. They go down in value. So what do? They buy assets. Because when you buy assets and inflation takes place, the price of the asset that you have, or the value of it, nominally speaking, goes up, where your pay doesn't. Your pay may go up nominally, but as many people have found out in the last year or so, that your pay may be going up nominally in dollar terms, but it's not going up in purchasing power, because inflation is deteriorating the purchasing power of your dollars. Those that you earned, but the government did not, because they just printed it out of thin air. So people are now starting to wake up. Why? Because they are feeling the pain. I've been saying this for years, that it's going to take a lot of pain. I just had a conversation with a very good friend of mine, right? And I said, it's going to take a lot of pain before we can switch to a different system that is more fair and just for everyone and not just a particular group. It's going to take a lot of pain, and people are starting to feel that pain. Finally, they're starting to feel that pain. But guess what? the government's going to come up with something, some kind of a big crisis that will occur that is going to put everyone back in their place, and it's going to have everyone begging the government for that CBDC. Help me, Mr. Government. Help me. What can I do for you to help me? I'll take that CBDC. I'll take that shot. Just help me. That's what's going to happen next. Something's going to happen that will put the people in enough despair that they will vote and ask for that CBDC. Because that's the only way that the government can stay in control going forward with the monetary system that we have, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I was getting at in yesterday's video, that we are going to have a war one way or another. If we have a war that's outside of our borders or with a foe, you know, on one of these other countries that don't like us and we don't like them, etc., that's one way that they can use to reset the system, right? But another way is when the people here have had enough and we reset their system ourselves, because we kick all of these crooks out of Washington and maybe, hopefully, start over with people that love their countries and that are there in those positions for the right reasons. Having said that, let me go ahead and finish it off for today. I hope that you all have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for all of your support. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.